Okay, here we go. So I've got Sonya with me, my friend, and we're just going to do a coaching session. She knows me. And so we're sharing this with my YouTube so all you guys can see an example of how I interact with people who are coming to me for coaching. All right, so Sonya, I got your audio. Let's see, where are my notes here? I got your audio on all the different issues that you've kind of been struggling with the past couple of weeks. So where would you like to start? You said you're 100%, so you're not sick anymore?
No, I'm feeling great. It's funny if I could just add a little bit of human design in here, because that's my language. I have the line 3, and for any of you out there who know what line 3 means, we tend to bounce back. Like we try something, we experiment, we fall down and we, get sick or whatever. And then we're like, push through, let's go, let's bounce. So yeah, today I was just like, I woke up and I'm like, I'm 100, I'm back. So it feels great to be here.
That's good. Yeah, it actually sounded like you were healthy on that recording. So I wasn't sure if it was like a flu or something, or if it was just like was it tiredness?
I'm guessing it was flu, because I haven't had that for so long, and I'm just grateful, it's gone, whatever it was.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, you sounded perfectly healthy. And I was like, you said something about, that I've had health issues. And I was like, I actually forgot that, because you just strike me as a healthy being. So I forgot your story that you used to be sick, or you used to have issues. So I was like, yeah, that's just a story.
It is story. Right. Yeah. True.
Yeah. All right. So you wanted help with rewriting how you present yourself to your clients?
Right. Right. So I like your philosophy. That's why I'm drawn to you, is that you're about fixing problems. And I've noticed when people come to me, they might say, I want a reading, like a full out reading. Like, who am I? What am I here to do? But when we get down to it, it's usually tied into specific practical steps they want to take toward their future. And they want to know what energies will help them, like when to do it. So I feel like when I spend so much time on the get to know you, who are you part, it actually draws away from what they actually ask for and what they want. And I realized my sales page, does not reflect that sort of philosophy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I've been thinking about that because, I've hired you for a couple little things here and there. One of the things I hired you for was helping me figure out which city to move to, because there were several that we were considering. And you were able to look into the astrology, and you also were reading a little bit about what I was most enthusiastic about, which I think is part of your skill. So it's not just about the astrology. It's you're hearing what the person has, where their energy is, and then you're kind of giving them a nudge in that direction. So as far as the sales page, that's really draft 1.
Yeah.
You can tweak that, you can change it, you can delete it. You're not stuck to that. And what I've learned over the last few months, really shifting everything, is it's not actually about you, Sonya.
Right.
So it's about helping your client. Mm-hmm. So you're the main person, right? But it's almost not about you. It's whatever God or divine intelligence is trying to speak through you. So we can almost get Sonya out of the way.
Yeah.
And be what is actually, your purpose? What are you here to help people with? And I think it's just whatever they're asking you for. So if these people are asking you for predictive guidance, you can shift your language to be around that. One thing I was thinking was you're an astrology guide for the future that you want to create. So you could define yourself as your astrology guide for the future you want to create. So these people think that they're asking you for astrology, but really they're asking you for help with the future they want to create.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Cause they think it's the stars that are going to create it. but it's actually the actions that they take,
Yes.
their attitude, their principles, their character, all that kind of stuff. So you're like using the astrology to kind of lure them in. And then you're also reading their energy to see what they're most excited about. And then you're giving them that nudge, and you're really helping them create the future that they want. So that's how I would phrase it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Because I think before, when I'd have people come to me, I've gotten word of mouth, which is a compliment. But when people come to me, they're kind of like, I don't know what I want. Just give me a reading.
Yeah.
And with you, it's so easy, because when you give me, when you contact me, it's like, I want this, this, and this. Like, and I'm like, okay, great. Let's just get right to it.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of a reading. So yeah, getting out of the way and just knowing you're just kind of a channel, or you're just kind of receiving information so that you can get them to their solution. I love that.
Yeah. Do you have other clients who are like that, or am I just the only one so far?
No, there have been others, especially recently, where I've noticed, maybe because I'm getting clearer, the feedback I'm getting is clear. Like, this is what I want. And I jump right in. There was a woman who sent me a long list, and I love that. Even though it was long, I got through it faster because it was so clear what she wanted.
Yeah.
It sounds counterintuitive, but it actually makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Part of it is like, the more clear that you are about who you're going to serve, what you're going to help them with, like the clearer the leads are. Like, you mentioned that you got a lead from TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, is that like somebody that follows you that commented on something, or like?
Now I have to ask her, because I've gotten people jumping from my landing page, which you helped me with, onto my email list. I believe she might be one from my email list. I'd have to go back and check in with her. That's something maybe I need to work into my business too, is just like, how did you find me, sort of thing. But yeah, she was I can say this, she's a Taurus rising. And I've gotten a lot of Taurus rising interested in my TikTok, because it's a big year for them. So it's just funny. It's all synchronistic that way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That can be something you just casually ask, like, oh, where'd you find me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then the other thing with that, like you were mentioning the referrals versus the lead. This is almost counterintuitive, but I would say, don't get excited about one lead. Like, it's nothing. Like, and I used to do this. Like, I used to take one person and just blow it up into a story before it actually went anywhere.
Yeah.
So I would rather see you say, oh, it's one lead, there's more on the way, this is just one of many, and not get too excited about it.
Yeah.
I know that sounds totally
I
counter.
don't know if I'm excited. I think I'm more of like, it's like this feeling of, I would like this to happen more, where it's my energy, instead of somebody else saying, Sonya's great. I mean, that's wonderful. It's a wonderful compliment, but I would rather it be coming from me. So I guess that was where the excitement came from, is I would like to see more people just come from me for what they think I can give them, instead of their friend says, oh, believe me, she's blah, blah, blah. You should experience it for yourself, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way you do that really is just, you're showcasing who you are. I mean, you're already starting to do that on your channels, your TikTok, and I think you're not on Instagram anymore, but
no.
yeah, that's just like showing people who you are. And I love your little walks through the forest, and like, that feels very alive and real. I'm like, oh, that's Sonya. And I actually was like, I gotta start doing that. So I like recorded a little walk of me and walking the dog, and
love that.
that's very cool. So that's good. That's how you show people like who you are, is just that kind of stuff. So you can do more of it. You can like experiment with different places and, have fun with it. I feel like you have this artistic side that isn't shown enough. Like the way you have your room arranged, even, that's very artistic with the stuff behind you.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. As a 1-3 profile, I won't say too much, but we tend to need to explore ourselves very deeply. And recently I found out something like, I'm the artist. I'm like, I never thought I was an artist, but hey, you know what? I take that in. So thank you for appreciate that.
Yeah. Even the way you made that salad was so artful. Call it my Sonya salad. I eat
Oh.
Sonya salad, literally. Dan's like, oh, you're having the Sonya salad. It's a work of art.
Need to market that. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just have way more fun with it. And that I think that's the starting point of it. So like, you know, for projectors, we have to be ourselves. We have to like be in a state where we're loving our life. And that's what draws in the invitations from people. And we can't really control it. Like even with, you know, I was saying that I just ran this ad and I got all these leads coming in. None of that shit matters if I'm like in a negative state and I'm bitter. Got to be like doing the things I love and bring that positive energy. So that's, I think that's part of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think what I wanted to convey to you was the sustainability. You know, we always hear about scaling, like, can you scale? Is this sustainable? And in order for you to be effective, yeah, like you said, you need to be at the top of your game. When you meet with someone, you want them to feel like, wow, she gave me her best. And that's why I follow you, because you are all about that. You're like, when you meet with a client, every time I've gotten guidance from you and I got your coaching, it was like Michelle gave me 100%. She gave me everything she had. And it's just so refreshing. So it's like, I want to do that too, but I want to make sure that I'm not burning myself out at the same time.
Yes. And so burnout, as you know, I have a manifesting generator as a coach. So I'm totally playing with the whole idea. I don't believe in burnout anymore, and I don't use the word tired anymore.
Okay.
And I don't even use the word migraine anymore. Like I've gotten to the point where, if I do feel a migraine or what used to be a migraine, I know exactly what to do physically to get rid of it or to numb it. And then I also know what to do spiritually and like emotionally and mentally to get rid of it. So my story used to be, oh, if I wake up with a migraine, it's there all day. I'm fucked. Nothing gets rid of it except 8 hours of sleep. So I looked at that and I was like, that story's not going to work for me anymore. That's very inefficient. So if I wake up and I have a migraine or brain fog or a slight headache, I'll note it. I'll be like, okay, that came from that food that I ate or whatever I did to kind of create that. And I'll be like, but I know what I can do to get rid of it. So I can do 100 burpees. I can go for a walk. I can get like cold, fresh air because it's very cold lately. And that's very like stimulating. And I can stand on the grass barefoot for 5 minutes. That will dissipate it a little bit. I can work. Sometimes doing my work actually gets rid of the migraine. So, yeah, it's kind of the story that you tell yourself. And then also the actions that replenish you on all these different levels, which is especially important for a projector. Like a workout will replenish my brain because I'm working my physical body. So my brain gets a break from all the intensive thinking, and then vice versa. So like, you know, the mental work, the creative work gives my body a break if it's tired or sore from the workout. So you just kind of flip back and forth between those two.
Yeah.
But I'm not entertaining burnout anymore. Like you were saying, is it sustainable? What did you say? Is your work sustainable? And can you keep giving someone what they need? Your work is to develop yourself to the best version of you. And that's lifelong. So it is sustainable just by the nature of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just getting out of that mindset, because I remember when I was teaching, when I did all that teaching, which people would ask me, as a projector, you worked with 30 kids, like that's impossible. But I did it because my mindset was, I'm doing it. And every day I made it work. I don't know how I did it, but I know that if I can do that, I can transfer it to anything. So it is all about mindset for sure.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, it helps if you're doing work that you love. I mean, I don't know if like, you know, working with kids is not something that I would love, but writing for certain clients is something I totally love. And I'm like, when I do it, I get in this zone. And it's so like your purpose and your work. It's like there's two angles where you can look at it. So one is like, oh, well, what do I love? And you're kind of waiting for something outside to show you what that is. And the other is like, here's the thing, I'm choosing to love it. Like I'm doing it and I'm choosing to love it as I'm doing it. So it's kind of like choice versus something from the outside, and then finding the sweet spot in the middle. Like your purpose is obviously guiding people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you love that.
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can do it. Maybe it was guiding kids, now it's guiding adults through astrology. Now it's like all these different things. So it's just, you're choosing to love it no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. And it helped just to say, okay, here's what I loved more. And I think it's like, I didn't love being general. And I think with your example, with your readings, I was so into what you wanted because you have like this ability to create, to visualize exactly what it is. And then I just can step in and fill in the gaps. And that's more of the client I want to work. I just light up. That's the client I want to work with. It's like somebody who, and this is the woman who recently reached out to me. She just gave me all of these. And I'm like, yes, like, let's go. I can work with you on this. And I know I can fill in the gaps here and I can give you what you need. So yeah, I mean, it's all, I think it's kind of, you see what hasn't worked and you slowly get closer and closer. And then luckily I've had your coaching. So you've asked me some very pointed questions about like, what is it that you're doing? And I really had to take a look and say, hey, yeah, I've been way too general here. And this is really where I want to focus my energy. And it's just getting more refined as I go.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
What else? Do you have any fear or nervousness about this lead that's coming in?
I always have, I think even with the children, I had a fear going in every day. And I'm just bringing that up because it's similar to right now, in that I just needed to trust myself a little bit more. Like it's going to come through. It always does. Whatever needs to be said. And I do ask, I am very spiritual. I do ask angels, God, for help, for guidance, whatever the person needs to hear. And what I think the more I trust, the better the reading is. I've noticed that it's not always about it's not always about the time I spend preparing. That's important too. But usually when I let go and let God, and I just say, I surrender, now that I've done the work, just let the words come through. Those have been the best readings. In fact, the best reading I ever had, I didn't prepare at all.
Interesting.
It was a couple, and I don't usually do this, but they wanted me to help them with particular things that they were working on. And it just flowed through so naturally, and they were so happy and satisfied. Probably the most feedback I've ever gotten. And I didn't prepare at all. So it's just funny how our mindset tells us we have to do more work, we have to push harder. And the one time that I didn't do that probably was the best reading I ever gave.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you need to prepare as much as you did. Like when you told me you spent a whole week doing my report for the very first one.
I don't regret that though.
I mean, I think you were kind of like new, right? Though you were
right.
So I mean, we all do that when we start out. So we kind of over prepare and over get ready, but that's cool. That's amazing that that was the best one and you didn't even prepare.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about with like one lead coming in, like not getting too excited with the one lead because it's like, oh, well, more leads are just coming and you're just in this state all the time where you're not preparing for any of them. And like, you're not creating a story about it. And I'm learning this about the ad is like, I'm kind of like preparing for each phone call that I make with these leads, these weirdos. And like,
oh no,
I'm like, even like 1 minute of creating a story about it is too much time wasted. It's like, I gotta not do that. And like, you just have to stay in that like open state.
But I think too, and I saw this with the children, like I consider every person's life a huge responsibility. Like they're handing me their life and they're saying, I trust you to help me. And I think maybe that's where some of the blockages are happening too, is that I take this so seriously. Like when somebody says, I want this in life, this is important to me, and then it becomes extremely important to me, I take it on, maybe even too much. And I want to give them everything I can for them to be successful. It becomes my heart. Like it just overwhelms me. And so, maybe there's something you could guide me on with that so that I can kind of detach a little bit. Maybe I'm getting too involved. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They're not handing you their life, because their life, I mean, really God is handing them their life, and they're responsible for their life. So it is a lot to take on someone else's life. I wouldn't advise doing that.
Yeah.
I would say that's just a boundary. Like,
Yeah.
that comes from your caring, empathetic nature. You care about people, but I've also seen a lot of very caring people who can't make the business work because they care a little too much. And the caring doesn't actually help the client in the way that they could be helping the client. So it almost becomes like I don't know if codependent is the word, or like a dysfunctional thing going on there. But I would say, instead of taking someone's life, which sounds very like martyr-ish almost, you're developing your own life to that same level. So you're developing Sonya, and you're making yourself the best that you can be, whatever that looks like. So physically, mentally, emotionally, like you're giving yourself everything that you need so that you can be that example for this other person. And then you're just using the astrology as, the guidance for them. So I see that as a much healthier way of doing it. And that can be hard. So, it's like, oh, well, it's easier to just focus on this other person instead of focusing on making my life and myself the best that I can be. But I think that's everybody's purpose, is we're here to make ourselves the best that we can be so that we can help others do that.
Yeah. And I do have very motherly energy, a very nurturing, like everyone's my child. And I think that's part of it too. It's like when you come into my sphere, I want to nurture. Like, and part of nurturing is I want to help give you help build confidence in you that you don't need me anymore. Like, go ahead and fly. But for that very brief time, I'm your mom. And I'm like, you can do it. I'm going to show you how you can, and go. So when you see yourself as a mom, it can get into that codependent a little bit. Like, so I'm learning to work with myself. I obviously know that I'm not where I want to be, but if I could, maybe I can take a step back and say, I'm your aunt instead. Like, I'm not your mom, I'm your aunt, and I'm going to help you, grow your wings.
My aunts are crazy, so I don't know about that. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want to be crazy.
No, I think that's great. Like, projectors do need to learn boundaries though, because
Yes.
I used to way overgive with people, and it was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And the better clients are actually the ones where you don't do that with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of my greatest clients have boundaries like a motherfucker. Like
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but a lot of those like lower level clients, they actually need to learn boundaries. Like
Yeah.
that's not even a concept in their mind. So,
Yeah.
and the more boundaries you have, the more efficiently you work, because you're not allowing yourself to get drained on like weird energy dynamics over here. And like, it just feels better, and you get more done. Like, imagine you have a bunch of those leads that are exactly like the person that knows what they want, and they're like, you're not preparing for any of it. You're just like this vessel stuff to come through and it like all works out perfectly. Like how freeing would that be?
Oh, it sounds beautiful. Yeah.
And none of them are like your life that you have to take on. You're just channeling whatever it wants to come through, and you're like helping them, and it helps them make a decision about
Right.
something that they're not sure of. So
Yeah. Which is what an ant would do, right? You come, unless it's a
my
crazy,
aunts.
crazy ant.
Oh my gosh. No, not my aunts, unfortunately. My no, my aunts are like, well, they're different. I have a lot of different aunts, but yeah, one of them will come over and talk your ear off, and it's all about her the whole time. And
Oh boy.
the other one won't say anything at all. And yeah, never mind. That's
Mix them together a little bit.
yeah. No, it's just you're a business person. Like you're shifting over. You're a business person,
Right.
not someone's aunt. Fuck that. You are Sonya, and you're in the business of, what did I say? Giving guidance, giving astrological guidance for the future that people want to create.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Your exact copy could be like your astrology guide for the future you want to create. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's addressing the fact that people are actually creating something. It's not just the stars that are determining everything. And like I told you,
Right.
I don't even fully believe in astrology, and yet I'll still hire you because I like your energy and I like your oomph that you give me. And that's just cool. Like,
Well, that's all that matters, because astrology is just a tool. And
yeah.
it's one thing I would say is the best astrologer I've ever heard. She says, all roads lead to Rome. She said, we have so many systems in astrology. Everybody's like, this one's right, this one's right. But they all end up working for the astrologer who's working with that tool, because that tool is just something that lets the guidance come through to the person who needs it. So yeah, I will work with anyone who doesn't believe in astrology. Just, if you need me, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the sustainableness, like you are, I do see that you're putting out a lot of content. You're putting out like, is it like a prediction for each sign? So each of the 12 signs, like every week or month?
It's every 2 weeks, but I've realized, especially because I got sick, which made me, it's actually, when you get sick, it's actually a good thing because you have to reassess. And I thought, okay, it's time that I just do one and just do it really quickly. I can actually probably do a good job giving people guidance. Sounds weird, but in 3 minutes on a TikTok video, I could probably do all 12 signs from this point forward. In 3 minutes. Most astrologers take an hour and a half to go through all the signs. I've watched them and I'm like, you can do this super fast and still people get what they need. So I'm not saying one's right or wrong, just I know that I can be more efficient even in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that when I go on your TikTok page, I just skip over all the ones that aren't Aries, because I'm like, I'll look at Taurus because Dan's a Taurus, and I'll look at Aries because I'm an Aries. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad skipping all the other ones because they don't apply to me. So if you could make each post apply to everyone somehow, that would be very like more efficient for your content creation efforts instead of like doing one for each sign. So
right. Yeah, we're on the same page on that one for sure. Yeah.
Well, like how would you do it in 3 minutes for all the signs? Is it like one piece of general guidance for everybody?
Yeah, so I'd pick basically the most important event that's happening either that week or for the 2 weeks. And I would just say, Aries, this is the area. I would just go through very quickly because we make astrology very complicated, and astrologers would hate me for saying this, but it's actually very simple.
That's a good copy right there. Astrologers hate me for saying this. I would have to click on that and be like, oh, what is it? So good.
I think I would be hated by many, but I can make it very simple. And it is, I think it's actually more helpful the simpler it gets.
Yes, that's
practical,
true.
Because I'm into practical. Always. Yeah.
Yeah, simpler is better.
Yeah.
I love that. That has to go in a copy somewhere. Astrologers would hate me for saying that's like such a clickbait headline, and it's accurate too. So it's not even clickbait. It's real. It's honest.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that little shift in itself, if you could just chunk them all down into one video, you're covering all the signs in 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, that cuts down on your upload, download time and all that. And so you just shave off kind of, and then charge people for that, the individual readings. Like at the end of your post, you could say like, do you want an individual reading for this or whatever? DM me and let's book a quick 10-minute call or something, like add a call to action to that. You could
Could
even
you,
include it in the video too.
yeah, could you give me an example? Like, so let's say the huge shift was North Node. That's like a year and a half where everything shifts and you get lessons in that particular area. So for example, I would say DM me if you'd like a reading just on how you can utilize where the North Node is. Because for Taurus, your husband or your fiance, who will be your husband, he must be going through major shifts. I mean, I'm excited to work with any Tauruses. This is a big year and a half for them. So, and I got the most views, not surprisingly, from that particular video because they're feeling it. So it's like they're ready. And I was just thinking maybe that would be where I'd want to key in, is especially on a sign that I know is transforming on a very deep level.
Yeah. So with call to actions, I would just start writing out, write out 20 different call to actions and just practice writing them. But the thing with the call to actions is you want to use it in the language that they're thinking in their brain.
Right.
So I guarantee you, no one's sitting there thinking, I would like to figure out how to utilize the North Node. I don't know what the fuck that is. And they don't use the word utilize. So, but the way I would probably think of it, like, let's say, okay, I'll give you an example, like Charlie from the Projector movement.
Yeah.
He sent out the email to his list about, he's like promoting his new prosperity program for Projectors.
Yes.
I was almost tempted to hop on that. And then I was like, wait, no, my prosperity comes from working. So get back to work. So,
oh, that's funny.
He said something in his email. He was writing about how the United States, like, I don't know what planet it was, Pluto or something, is coming back after 300 years when it was
Pluto return. Yeah.
So he was writing about that. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, I want to find out what happens to the United States, because I've, been following all the stuff and all the craziness a little bit. But the way that he wrote that, he was like, it was very general. Like, he was hitting a whole nation. The United States has this Pluto return, blah, 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 blah. On February 20th or whatever the date was, this total rebirth is going to happen. And he just, like, the way he framed that was so intriguing and so, like, curiosity inducing.
Yeah.
It just, I was like, I have to find out what happens on February 20th. So you could say something like that. You're not addressing like the US, but you're addressing it for everybody. Mm-hmm. This North Node, this happened with this. And then your call to action is going to be like, to find out how this applies to you specifically this week or this month, like what's going to happen for you at the end of February, or how will you make the most out of this energy for yourself, your life, your business at the end of February, so you're kind of making it very personal to someone as to, like, how is it going to affect them? And you're testing these different approaches in this different language to see which one do people respond to. What is the language that gets people to DM you on TikTok or wherever and reach out for that free consultation.
Cool.
It's like putting that in their language. So for me, I'm like kind of worried about the US, but also trying to remember that God is good all the time. So everything that's happening is for good.
Yeah.
So something like that would be like, let's get a reading to make sure that you feel strong in yourself on this February 20th date or whatever, so that you don't fall apart or something like that. There's just various ways that you can experiment with it.
Yeah, something that's very relevant, that's,
Yes.
sparks them like right now. Like,
Specific and relevant and timely is very good
yeah,
for any of that stuff. Yeah.
human beings are very much in the now. Like, how is this affecting me right now? Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. Yeah, that's true because in the summertime, it's like we were moving and we needed to move within a certain time period. And so I
Mhm.
reached out to you and said, which city astrologically out of these 5 or 6 that we're considering would be best? And you looked at that and you nailed it. Like Mesa, Arizona, like we love it.
That's awesome. And that was so much fun, Michelle. I
Yeah.
mean, the way that we interacted and that it all just panned out was like, and it was kind of like we did little pieces. It was funny how it all happened, but it was like perfect. It
Yeah.
wasn't like pretty, but it was like we needed to like see, just for example, we needed to see where the lines were crossing where you'd been before and how
Mhm.
you loved that place and how I knew that because the line was running through the same, I was running through Arizona too. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then it was, and you felt it for yourself. It was magical, the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, timely, relevant, specific. That's great. Yeah, you can experiment so many ways with the call to actions. I would just keep the language super simple. Never use the word utilize.
I only use that in my blog, in my newsletter, because I know people will it'll be okay over there.
It's funny. It's funny. A lot of people use that in their copy. Like it makes it sound more official, but nobody actually uses the word utilize. I don't know.
I do.
I'd like to utilize your skills today, Sonya.
I like to throw some in every once in a while. Yeah.
That's my editor. Yeah, the editor and me. Fifth grade writing, as you know, probably fifth grade writing is what sells the most because people can understand it very easily and not
Yeah.
decipher
Yeah.
it. And yeah,
Yeah.
simple.
That's true. It all goes back to simple. Yeah. Yep.
All right, what else? Anything else? I feel like we've covered a lot.
I think that was what I needed. I think I just needed to get past being a mom and
Are you
also,
actually a mom? You don't have kids yourself, right?
no, I always felt like as a teacher I was though, of 30
Yeah.
kids. I've always felt motherly, but yeah, but I think other than that, and just I love what you said about creating, the person is creating their future. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what they want and what they need. So it's all about the wording. I mean, you know that as a copywriter, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, the wording and the feeling behind it too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit stop on the recording and then you and I can chat again in a second. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching this. Thank you, Sonya, for allowing me to coach you publicly. So it felt different, but
Yeah,
that
no, it was
so
beautiful.
valuable.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.